For today's lesson, we're going to look at solving quadratic equations, specifically by using factoring techniques. So, the question is, what makes something a quadratic equation? Well, the answer is to look for that exponent. A quadratic equation is any equation with the degree of 2. The shape of this, we call it a parabola, which we've already seen before, but the highest power is 2. This is considered the standard form for a quadratic equation, where you have your a is the first coefficient in front of x squared, the b is the coefficient in front of x, and then your c value there is the constant term at the end. And so when we call putting it in standard form, that means your highest degree ends up being listed first, the next highest would be next, and then lastly, the number or the constant in the mix ends up being listed last. And so this is called standard form, where we not only set it equal to 0, but it's also written in order on the left-hand side by way of whatever the polynomial is. When we're solving quadratic equations today by factoring, we use what's called the zero product property, which basically says if you have two numbers and they're multiplied to become 0, so let's say a times b equals 0, well, either one of them has to be 0 or both of them have to be 0. And so what we do is then we split this up, since it's a product, right, multiplication, and then we can say that either a equals 0, or we can say either b equals 0, or both of those could be true. And so when you're coming up with your factors today, let's say x plus 3 and x minus 2, and you have it equal to 0, then by the zero product property, what we're going to do here is then we can say overall that if these multiplied equal to 0, then we can set the individual factors equal to 0 and help us solve. And once we're set here, we'd subtract 3 in the first case. So it looks like the first answer we get is -3. And then we'd add 2 in the second case. So it looks like my second answer would be +2 there. So let's take a look at this example together here. It says solve by factoring. And so notice the first step, we always need to set this equal to 0 first. And so notice we have this -10 on the outside that I need to move to the left side. And we always encourage you to have positive x squared. So for example, just as a little side note, if we had -3x squared equals 4x minus 1, and I wanted to set this equal to 0, preference here is I would move this term to the right here. I would add the 3x squared to both sides, because then you have a positive x squared term, and then all the other remaining coefficients go behind that. And it's okay to have 0 on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side, but it's always good to have a positive x squared term when you're doing that. So now when you're adding 10 to both sides here, on the left-hand side, we get x squared plus 7x plus 10 equals 0. So the very first step is set equal to 0 if you can. The second step was, once it is there, and we're doing it by factoring, let's factor. Let's factor that trinomial on the left-hand side. And so if we look at factoring techniques, remember looking at factors of 10, 1 and 10, -1 and -10, 2 and 5, -2 and -5. Don't forget the negatives. But then which ones add up to the middle term of 7? We see clearly that +2 and +5 add up to 7. So x plus 2 and x plus 5 would be my two factors. But then once you've factored, the third step is you're going to apply the zero product property, apply the ZPP. And so what that means is, once that's true, you can then, by the zero product property, you can state that then x plus 2 equals 0, or you could state that x plus 5 equals 0. Either way, you're solving both of these. So in the first case, I'd subtract 2, and I get one answer of -2. And here I'd subtract 5, and I get another answer of -5. And these would be my two solutions for that quadratic equation above. Now, one way you could check is you could sub those numbers in for the original expression. So you could sub in -2 and for x, And you could sub in also -5 in for x just to verify that it equals -10 on the right-hand side. And so if I sub in -2, I get +4 minus 14, and sure enough, they check out. So that's one good way to verify your answers today, is to plug it back into the original. But that's our process here. So let's take a look at a couple more here before I have you guys try some on your own. So notice in the first case, number 1, it's already set equal to 0. So we kind of got step 1 done. Now we're looking at factoring. And so if I look at factors of -36 on the side here, 1 times -36, -1 and +36, 2 and -18, -2 and +18. I know it's divisible by 3, -3 and +12. It's also divisible by 4, and it's also divisible by 6. And so this seems to be all the factors of -36, and then which ones add up to the middle term of -5. And so if I go through this list, it looks like 4 and -9. And so that would factor to x plus 4, x minus 9 equal to 0. Once you have that factored, now we're doing that zero product property that says, well, then that means x plus 4 equals 0, or that means x minus 9 equals 0. If you solve the first one by subtracting 4 over, we get one answer of x equals -4. And if I subtract the other one by adding 9 over, the other one ends up being +9. And so these would be my two solutions for number 1 there. Number 2, notice it's not solved for 0, so I have to first subtract that 7 over to both sides. And so the first step is now done. I've set it equal to 0. Second step would be factoring. And so if I look at the factors of -7, and there's not many of them, it's 1 and -7, or -1 and +7. So which ones add up to +6? Looks like that last one here. And so I can factor that into x minus 1, x plus 7, and then from here on out, zero product property says that the first one's equal to 0, or you can set the second set of factors equal to 0. But if I add 1, one of the answers is +1 here, and if I subtract 7 to both sides, it looks like my other one is x equals -7. And again, a good way to check is to plug those back into the original to see if it equals 0, or in the last one equals 7. So here's a couple more where we have some coefficients involved. And so if you come across these today, remember the voodoo method. And so the voodoo method, anytime you have a number in front of x squared, that's when we use that voodoo method, where the first step is we start by dropping that and multiplying it to the back side here. And so it first reads x squared minus 2x and then minus 24 equals 0. We still want to factor that. So if we look at factors of -24, that add up to -2. If I list them all here, and -12, -2 and +12, 3 and 8, but also -3 and +8, 4 and -2, -6, -4 and +6, and I think we finally listed it right here, 4 and -6. And so that factors into x minus 4, x plus 6, but remember, we're not done yet with these, because in the voodoo method, if you have a coefficient that you dropped, this is the stage where we take numbers in our factors and divide by that coefficient that you dropped originally, which was 3. And so it'd be 4 over 3 inside and 6 over 3. If it can reduce, reduce. If not, you pull that in front, right? So the factored form would be 3x minus 4 times x plus 6 divided by 3, and that second set reduces to 2. And now that I applied the zero product property, that means 3x minus 4 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. If I solve the first one, I would have to add 4 and divide by 3. And so one answer is x equals 4/3. And then the other one comes from subtracting 2 to both sides. Looks like x equals -2 would be my other solution there. And so let's take a look at one more here with the voodoo method. And so if I were to answer number 4 here, notice the first step is not done for us. We have to add or subtract that 3x over. now it's set equal to 0. Now with the voodoo method, we take that, we multiply it to the back side here, so it becomes x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. We factor that, which this factor should be, I think, -4 and +1. But then don't forget whatever number you dropped originally, which was 4, that's what we're going to divide each of those numbers by 4. And so notice the first one does reduce, that becomes x minus 1, and the second one doesn't, so we pull that 4 in front. But now the very last step was be applying that zero product property here, and so that means x minus 1 equals 0 or 4x plus 1 equals 0. If I solve the first one, x equals 1 is one answer. If I solve the second one by subtracting 1 and dividing by 4, I think you get -1/4 as your other final answer. So now it's your turn to try some problems. So take a moment, pause the video, and work these two out. Number 2, you might have to use the voodoo technique, so be careful on that one, but try your best. We'll go over these here in a few seconds. Good luck. So for the first one, some of you recognize that we needed to subtract 15 first to set it equal to 0. And so we have x squared minus 2x minus 15 equal to 0. The next step is you should have factored that, and you should have came up with x minus 5 and x plus 3 as your factors, because those two numbers multiply to -15 but also add up to that -2 there. And so by the zero product property, if you set these each individually equal to 0 and solve for x, you should have got x equals +5 and x equals -3 there for your final answers. And so for the second one, that's the voodoo technique. So the first step would be dropping that 2, multiplying by that 3 since it's already set equal to 0. And so we get x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. Factor this like we do before. So if you look at factors of -6, that add up to -5. And be careful here because they have to add up to -5. So if you add these first two, it looks like 1 and -6 become -5. And so that factors into x minus 1, or x plus 1, x minus 6. And then remember, since it's the voodoo method, whatever we dropped, that's what we're multiplying by. So here we're multiplying by 2 to each of those. And if it does reduce, reduce. If not, you're pulling that in front. And so it looks like I have to pull the 2 in front. So it would be 2x plus 1, and then the 6 over 2 becomes -3 in the factored form. And the last step would be using that zero product property. So if I set the first one equal to 0 and solve, I would subtract 1, and it looks like dividing by 2 will give you a final answer of x equals -1/2 for one answer. And then if I take the other one, x minus 3, and add 3 to both sides to solve for x, it looks like the other one becomes x equals +3 then. So that concludes our lesson today, so make sure you check out the practice on Canvas and submit that homework quiz before the end of the day. With that said, you guys have a great rest of your day.